All right, hey everybody. You can read the title of this slide. It's very intimidating. I hope to not put you to sleep, but I'll dumb it down. I want to talk about customers and workflows today. And we're in the unified communication space, and we spend a lot of time talking about speeds and feeds and technology. And one of the things we've learned over time that's led to a lot of success for us the last few years is really to put everything back in the customer's terms, and particularly about workflows. And so we're going to talk about workflows today and some particular successes we've had. So bear with me. We'll get through this. Quick background on vertical. We're squarely in the unified communication space, platforms, applications. We also do professional services. We sell, we deploy, we support. It's largely a direct model today. And we don't really talk about our business as unified communications so much as providing communications platforms, applications, tool sets to solve business problems. And the company's been around since 2004, so we've been in business for quite a while. There's some history with the company, names like Artisoft, Conval, Vertical Networks that are part of our family. We've got about 250 employees today. We're a privately held, profitable company. About 80% of our business now is direct, and we began as a channel business, and for a bunch of reasons I'll talk about later, we've migrated to a direct model. Sell, deploy, support our solutions. And we're targeting the mid-market, so for us that kind of means that the 50 to 2,000, plus or minus, and with retailers, which is a big focus of ours, it's a lot of 15 phone deployments in large chains, as an example. So this is my favorite slide because I get to talk about customers. Despite being a relatively small company, we have sold some very, very large customers. And we have really designed our whole go-to-market, all of our products around vertical markets. And retail is our biggest vertical market. And it's probably 40% of our business quarter in, quarter out. And so names like CVS, Macy's, Ahold, which is one of an international grocer, owns chains both here as well as in Europe. Toys R Us, guys like this. And so I think the question you should all be asking yourselves, if you're not already, is how does little old vertical, win big accounts like that and become the communications platform for these large multinational companies? And that's really the theme of the presentation today, about how we actually do that against the likes of Cisco and others. And so to kind of, again, to dumb it down a little bit, what really matters to business? And is it technology? Technology is a tool. It's really about solving business problems, right? And so when you're pitching the decision makers on the business side who own the P&L, they're looking to drive sales, save money, make more profit, compete. And so when we are going and talking to customers about unified communications, we never use those words. We're talking to them about typically their business, their workflows, and what tools we can deploy to help them solve various business problems. And so it's easiest to give you a couple examples here, but I don't know if anyone's around for the 92 election, but I thought that kind of made the point. It's about the workflows. So let's talk about some examples. So pharmacy is a big part of our business. We sell some very, very large pharmacy chains. You saw some logos up on the screen before. So we go into a pharmacy, we replace the phone system, first and foremost, but we're also the IVR, we're also the overhead messaging system, we're also the on-hold messaging system, we're also the people counter. Little things like that actually make a big difference to retailers. So we were asked, in the last couple of years to help with another problem with drive-thru. And a lot of pharmacies nationwide have deployed drive-thru windows to, you call ahead, you get a prescription ready, pull up to the window, boom, you go. And this particular retailer had deployed this strategy nationwide and came out of the gates in last place as far as customer experience. And it came down to really sort of how the process worked and how the folks internally were responding to that process. But in essence, you'd pull up to the window, customer hit a button, they'd wait 2 minutes for someone to come to the window, take a couple minutes to process the transaction, they'd pull away. And again, they were last in customer experience. And so together, in partnership, we were designing that process. They put a diebold sensor in the ground, and you're driving up, that ping happens 20 seconds before they hit the window. The diebold sensor sends off a timer. The moment the person walks the window to service the customer, they hit a button, timer goes off. So we time that, right? And then we also time how long it takes them to close the transaction with the register. Every Monday, nationwide across thousands of chains, there's a scorecard put out. It shows the number one drive-thru in the nation down to the number X thousand. And you do not want to be number X thousand on Monday for a large corporation. But it's that data which we provide up through our data warehouse up to their BI solution that they use. And in a matter of a couple of months, they went from being last place to first place, just like that. And so workflows are these highly repeated little things that happen every day in these businesses but make a huge difference. They make a huge difference, and there's tremendous value in them. So today we're monitoring and managing well over 500,000 drive-thru transactions a day through our platform. And again, our platform, call management, database, application services, engines, lots of flexibility to do all these types of things for our customers. Another example, mobility in retail has gotten a lot of press lately, and it's the actual sort of use cases we're seeing are a little bit different than what you read about. So retail obviously is in department stores in particular are in a battle for their lives, and it's against the likes of Amazon where they're just getting cut by price, their margins are going down, they're in a race to reduce their expenses while at the same time invest to create a better in-store experience. Really, really hard to do. So one way they're doing that is through mobility. Okay, so the first thing you think is, okay, great, now I can text a millennial, right? Well, no. Mobility is really about, there's customer requests coming into a department store all day long. It's another store calling. It's another department calling. Maybe a page internally. It could be someone who's asking for a price check or something. So all these requests come in, and they're going to these fixed phones around the floor. So to be able to respond to those, you've got to be standing next to a phone. So introduce mobility. They don't remove those phones. They're adding phones, which are mobile phones. Now you can walk the floor, be servicing customers and servicing customer requests. Right there, you're reducing headcount. So you're reducing your expenses on the floor staff. So you add to that the fact now that they're able to begin servicing customers as a queue function. So there's a customer experience pickup where previously you're ringing that fixed phone, you had a high abandoned call rate, now you're seeing much faster customer experience. And when people deploy mobility in retail, in the department store, they're seeing that their time to service a customer or another department that's calling in goes down by 50 to 75%. So it makes a huge, huge difference. Now, there are other workflows that are coming, and we'll spend, I'm sure, as a group talking about WebRTC and things like that in this conference, but imagine in very near future where now your customer's on the website, they're trying to go and check on something being available. They can escalate a web session into a call, a video message with the person on the floor who's carrying that smart device. And that's happening. That's going to happen here very, very quickly. So, there's a really interesting workflow opportunity there for customer experience, but also for managing staff. Just another quick example of department stores. They're putting kiosks around the store for basically a high-end help session to get somebody either come to you or to talk to someone in a call center. And that's also all getting managed through the same communications platform. So these types of workflows really matter to department stores. Grocery. Okay, what's grocery? Grocery is a series of departments in a store, right? You got your pharmacy, you got your bakery, you got your deli, and on and on and on, your florist. And so more and more grocers are figuring out that each of those are incremental P&Ls. A lot of them run their business that way today, and they're trying to create more traction in each of those little P&Ls. And so I like to give the example of the bakery, where one of our very large grocery customers, a couple times a week, would bake fresh bread. And fresh bread is only good for, so long before it becomes hard bread. So they started running a test. And again, using our platform, we wrote a little program so that the baker, over in the bakery, could pick up the phone, hit a star code on his good old digital or IP phone, and basically say, fresh bread, hang up. That would then play a message in the store every 5 minutes for an hour, fresh bread in the bakery, fresh bread in the bakery. Fresh bread sales went up 50% nationwide on those days. So again, really, kind of small little tweaks, so to speak. This is not earth-shattering stuff, but from a workflow perspective, it's huge, absolutely huge. And so I'm trying to come back to a theme to say that, as an industry, we've got fabulous technology. I think we failed completely or largely in how we've taken this to the customer, really shown them how to use it, derived a solution that really speaks their language around workflows and can help change their business. And we've really flipped our sales model doing this, and it's had a lot of success. I've got one more example here. It's not a retailer, it's an auto dealer, which is, I guess, is kind of like a retailer. But these examples work in healthcare, they work in various industries. Auto dealers, great businesses. Average 8 dealerships, $32 million in revenue per site, 20 employees per site. They get at least 1,000 calls a day into an auto dealership. And it's going to salespeople who are usually on the lot not answering their phone. It's going to the service department, which at peak times is rolling over to voicemail. So there's all these calls coming in, and we're in an environment now where people are making less money on cars. They got to derive more money out of customer service, scheduling service appointments, and customer loyalty, and have no visibility into what's going on the phone. So again, we can go in, create a call center. We can go in and give mobile apps to the floor people. We can create overflow queues from department to department as needed, and then give management reporting, BI, to actually see what's going on and manage the business. And there's really meaningful upticks we see in auto dealers as a result. And I could go on with stories about auto dealers, but this is a really great segment as well. So the point really is every business has critical workflows. And I like to come back to that word again and again and again because that's what our customers talk about. They don't talk about WebRTC or unified communications. They want to get in and talk about their business problems. And so when you put it in those terms, when you can identify these pain points in their business, we have found that you can have much, much deeper engagement with customers, and our win rates, of course, are much, much higher as a result. And here's the thing about workflows, because I think it's an opportunity for our communications industry, certainly, but it's changing, and it's evolving. And we've had all these kind of recent, the last 5-10 years, evolutions of mobile and social and now cloud. And so the workflows themselves are changing. And we're seeing new workflows emerge where, whether it's, the workforce, the workforce is now working from home. They're doing team collaboration sessions, they're doing video sessions. They're largely speaking not in the office, period. And so there's a lot of new workflows that are really coming out of all this. And so how do you address those workflows? The classic phone system is not going to do that. There's various point applications which do pieces of that. But we believe there's an opportunity here to really take a holistic view towards enabling all these different workflows for business. And it's the same thing for customers. Customers want to get texts. They want to go online and have web sessions. They're not necessarily calling in anymore. And so how are we addressing the customer needs writ large from a communications perspective? And so again, from that, there's this tremendous opportunities, we think, to address that. So to make this work, if you believe it, and we certainly do, there's also a tweak on the business model, the engagement model. It is very, very hard to address the workflow needs of customers at a distance. You have to engage, and you have to engage deeply. And I think one of our challenges early on in our growth as a company was as we were more going through a channel, trying to train that channel to solution sell and really kind of get their arms around how to consult a business on things like workflows. Some people totally get it, some people totally don't. But we had found that through training our own people, training best practices, we had a better shot in that conversation. But this engagement model is critical because you really can't understand a business workflow unless you can get in and understand the person's business. And that is done only through a consultative solution sale. So it's a real key part of the puzzle. So if I can kind of summarize, we think the opportunity is about the workflows because that's really what the customer is worrying about day in and day out. We think that in our case, a platform approach has really worked. And this is sort of the alternative to various point solutions. And I want to kind of point out the existential threat here for the communications industry, which is guys like Facebook saying, hey, we want to use Messenger as a customer service application in retail. That got my attention because that is basically a direct encroachment upon what we're doing as a communications vendor in retail. And so the existential threat is these point solutions, which are addressing these new workflows outside of our industry, going and getting that business. And so it's this is also a survival tactic in some sense, that we have to think about our business this way. We have to think about it about these workflows, or someone else will. Comprehensive, iterative engagement. When I could tell you about some of our larger customers, when we go to market with them, it is deep lab experience. It's iterating on configuration and design. It's piloting. It's piloting and then redesigning. And by the time we nail these workflows, it's months and months of work for the very large customers. Over time, you can find actually that most retailers kind of have the same needs. You mean to productize these things. And pretty soon you've got a solution that very much is more of a 80 to 90% product with some tweaks on top of it. The engagement model, is the only way that works. And this is kind of what we call internally, the last mile or the last 15 or 20%. So to take a product and to effectively wrap it around a customer, this is where you're going and understanding their specific, the way they do business, down to what this person does, how long it takes, how they want to manage the business. And think about my drive-thru example, where in this particular example, this customer manages and has visibility into every store across the country by department and looks at it across the country, ranks them. They pay their managers that way. The CEO has even got compensation based upon that. And so when you get deep into sort of those discussions, that last 10 to 50% of product design, of customization, professional services, is the thing that's going to differentiate you. And my experience in this business is it's all about differentiation. We all do lots of cool things. We've all got lots of great technology. It's differentiation, which we all struggle for and strive for. And we've found tremendous differentiation with this strategy. Painless, right? So that's about, a little bit about vertical and workflows and some success we've had. We've about doubled our business in the last couple of years with this strategy and going direct. And we see lots of opportunity going forward. So I hope that's interesting and relevant for you guys. I know we have time for questions, but I can't imagine anyone has any big, robust questions. But let me ask the question. Does anyone have any questions at all? Yes? Who do you sell to? Is it the CTO, the CIO? All the above. Yeah, it's classic. We like to sell to the business people more because this matters to them a lot more. And it's not because it doesn't matter to IT. IT is not aware of workflows usually. The business people live and die by workflows. IT is typically not aware of them. So IT really in this world is more of a gatekeeper, absolutely at the table, but the sale is made at the P&L head. If it's a retailer, it's the VP of store operations as an example. If it's in healthcare, it's a CIO, COO type of function as an example. Yes, sir. We acquired Vidavi back in 2006. Yep. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Monitor the social platform, so that way you can catch certain key phrases proactively that's going out over the social medium to where it gets inserted automatically in the workflow, so that way businesses have some automation inside of that response.
So I think the way I would answer that is most retailers are thinking about this, do not get that yet. They're thinking about it, and maybe through their websites they're thinking about it, but without naming names, what's going to happen the next couple of years is you're going to have a mobile app that you use when you walk in a store, and they're going to use that, as a super, service button, but they're also going to use it to send you messages. Your personal shopper is going to know you're on site. You may get a push out to Facebook or whatever that you're in the store, what have you. So they're going to start bringing all that together, but these are kind of siloed a little bit today within these organizations. They're not thinking about it as omni-channel, which again is a word they don't use, right? So it's on the come. It's certainly something that we are thinking about. It's a good question. Yes, sir.
Fantastic. So you mentioned the metrics that you provide
Yeah, so we've got two things, because a lot of our customers already have BI platforms. So we have a large data warehousing function, so we can send terabytes of data up to the cloud, but we also have a BI platform. And so what that allows us to do is, across various metrics, slice and dice down to the store level, department nationwide, to compare all the bakeries nationwide, right? Or obviously the whole network, and from that you can basically develop benchmarks and measure the business and move it forward. So typically we do a baselining process early on, and then we're benchmarking from there. Yep. Anyone else? Great. Listen, hey, I appreciate your attention at lunch. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Peter.